If you are an NRI who is planning to return from US, let's say a next couple of months or in a year or two, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to show you an internal checklist that we follow for all our clients who are about to return back from US, maybe partially or permanently. Based on that, we decide what all things have to be done for them, in which time frame, based on what kind of visa or passports they are holding, and then make sure that nothing gets left on their side. We know how complex US IRS system is and how the repercussions of the same come on Indian tax department, and we need to make sure that nothing gets left for these clients. So without wasting any time, I would want to take you to our internal checklist, which is built over many such years, and we have tried to incorporate everything into this checklist. Maybe things that I'll not be able to cover entirely in this video, but any US based NRI who is planning to return can at least understand what kind of things they need to cover before making this kind of decision. The first thing is to determine what your tax residency status is going to be. Whether you are eligible for RNOR, 2 years, 3 years, something that you need to decide. And based on that, you will be able to restructure any investments or any tax decision that you need to take. Now, this again varies depending on what kind of visa you have, or are you coming back as a US citizen or a green card holder. But I'm just giving you a gist of what things you need to keep in mind. You need to file US taxes, file for FBAR, you have some FATCA compliances that you need to take care of. Some people end up giving their citizenships when they come back because they don't want to eventually return back, or they don't want to have the global taxation burden on them. Then on retirement accounts, you need to see what your 401k IRA accounts are supposed to be redesignated at, or is there any rollover that is being required into your accounts during your RNOR phase. Which forms do you need to update showing that you are now a non-resident for US account purposes? Do you sell a real estate or not? Those kind of things. Are you going to receive social security benefits? How do you declare them? Indian banking restructuring, when you're coming back, you need to redesignate your Indian bank accounts. But at the same time, you also need to ensure that you hold on to some dollars, maybe for your kids' education or any foreign expenses that you might have to do in non-INR based currencies. But one of the most important things that I ask everybody returning back from US who, let's say, is coming back on an H1B or an L1 visa is that please always keep estate tax in mind. Any US domiciled assets more than $60,000 that you hold in US will be subject to estate tax when you come back to India and become a non-resident alien for US tax purposes. This is again a detailed discussion, and I'm planning to make a detailed video on that, on how you can manage estate tax or have the right structure in place which can minimize this tax implication, but I'll do a separate video on that. Now, because you are going to be dealing with two tax departments, IRS and income tax departments, there are various deadlines that you will have to follow. Now, the problem is the financial years are somewhere overlapping and don't start and stop at the same time. So there are some deadlines related to US, like we are doing now, where we had to file extension for our clients. And then there is the income tax filing season coming for India tax purposes. So these are a couple of things that you'll have to keep in mind in terms of dates and deadlines that are to be followed. Now, coming to the other sheets, I'll quickly walk you through these sheets. Taking care of your residency. When I mean residency, how much is your RNOR tenure going to be? Some people who came to India during COVID times actually end up qualifying for RNOR only for 1 year, not 2 years or not 3 years. People usually assume that RNOR will anyways last for 3 years, but that's not always the case. At the same time, if you're coming in the middle of a US financial year, or let's say you have stayed for more than 6 months in US, then we also have to determine where the income is going to tax. There will be a split year test determining how much tax is being owed in US, how much tax is owed in India, and how do you take a tax credit for both of them. There are some very key aspects that you need to think in terms of investment restructuring during your RNOR period. Now, you have to harvest capital gains, increase the cost basis of, let's say, some RSUs that you have, or maybe some taxable brokerage account investments that you might have done, doing Roth conversions. Some people just want to withdraw, because their kids are too young and they're not sure whether they will go back to US or not. So in those cases, we might have to withdraw money from 401k at a very lower tax slab, even though there's some penalty that has to be paid. But the effective tax that you end up paying while withdrawing during RNOR period ends up being less. And again, I'm planning a separate video on how do you manage 401k withdrawals or doing a rollover or doing a Roth conversion during your RNOR period, and how do you handle these situations. If you're new to this channel, I am Alok. I am a certified financial planner and financial advisor here at PrimeWealth. We are an NRI wealth management firm specializing in asset management and wealth management for US-based NRIs who are planning to return back to India or who want their US-based wealth to be managed in US. Looking at what investments and retirement accounts require, there are various retirement accounts or some HSA or 529 accounts that you have opened to save taxes while your tenure in US. But now the tax treatment for them is very different when you return back to India. During RNOR, how does it get taxed? Or if you continue holding it during your ROR period, how will that get taxed? Can you actually claim Indian expenses from your HSA accounts when you are not here in US? Those kind of things. So like I said, I'll be doing a separate video on 401k and Roth withdrawal strategies. But you need to again keep in mind, if you have an Indian passport when you come back, you are subject to estate taxes in US. You need to have US bank accounts, US tax filing to withdraw these accounts or take a tax refund. So those things are also need to be kept in mind. About real estate, now this is where things get tricky. Many of our high net worth clients from US, when they return back to India and don't have a US citizenship, they are subject to double taxation on the rental income that they might be receiving from these properties. Now in US, when you make these investments, you get a good tax deduction for all the expense that you make behind mortgages or let's say maintenance of your property. But India does not have all those benefits. So what happens is, the moment your RNOR period is over, your rent received in US will start getting taxed in India also, where you will not be able to claim all the deductions. Now that effectively will end up either giving you a zero yield or a negative yield with high liquidity risk also, and then estate tax on top of it. So we need to take these decisions whether we sell the property, whether we transfer it to a trust, or if our kids are old enough or they are US citizens, should we gift them right now or wait for some time? So taking those kind of decisions, building your tax structure around this is something that is very key. At the same time, you also need to see what your Indian bank accounts are supposed to be redesignated at. If you had FCNR deposits, transfer that money to RFC accounts, because most people don't know this, that during your RNOR period, your interest made on RFC deposits is also tax-free. If you had NRA deposits or FCNR deposits, rather move that to RFC deposits, where you can hold this money for a good number of years in dollars and then spend it as and when you want, rather than keeping that money in US into your HYSAs or other kind of instruments. Talking about compliance and reporting, again, two different entities that we are dealing with here. US entity, we need to file our non-resident tax forms, FBAR tax filing. In some cases, our clients have S Corp that has to be converted to a C Corp, because you are definitely as a non-resident not allowed to continue those entities. At the same time, India tax compliances, which is Schedule A, which is what assets do you hold outside of India. Many people don't do that when they return back to India because they're not very much aware, and they think during RNOR they don't have to, even though the law does not mandate it for you. But there are certain reasons why you should be doing that RNOR, which we can definitely cover in a separate video altogether. There are some changes with Form 67, how you can defer taxes and how does that help you maybe not withdraw your money now, but maybe withdraw that money later in future. This sheet talks about compliance deadlines. In US, what all do you need to do, what reporting has to be done, and also Indian tax filing deadlines. Many people don't know that in India, you need to pay advance tax the moment you book any profits or there's a high source of income coming from any capital assets. So if you sell a property, you need to definitely, there is some TDS that will get deducted. But after becoming a resident, if you sell your properties in India to move to a better house, in that case, you are subject to advance tax also, even though the TDS is less. So there are those kinds of compliances and reporting that you need to keep in mind. So let's talk about the timeline. If you are somebody who has at least 1 year to 6 months to retire, you need to start thinking on these lines. Evaluate how you are going to do things. There are many clients who take a leave from their job at least 6 months before returning back to India. So there are years where you are in the lower tax bracket, and that is the time where we can use or withdraw money from these retirement accounts that we were talking about. If you see, during 2 years of RNOR, there are 3 US years that coincide. So the first year where you are retiring, that year if you don't have a job, you can actually withdraw more money. Then you have the second year where you are RNOR in India and also a US financial tax year. And then you are RNOR during Jan to March of the last or the second RNOR year. But that's a new financial year for US also. So if you have 2 years of RNOR, there are 3 US tax years that you come across, and based on what your income sources are going to be in those years, you can build a strategy on how do you do effective withdrawals or increased cost basis of whatever accounts or whatever ETFs or stocks that you hold under your name. Now, when you're making this move, I always recommend that you keep a track of what number of days you have spent in US and India, because this also helps us while calculating your RNOR eligibility, and also answer any queries or notices that you might receive for not disclosing or maybe some confusion that FEMA or income tax department might have. So having all these records in place, making sure that you have a CPA or a CA in place who will immediately be able to take care of this transition, and also having a financial advisor who will be able to guide you through this transition and also make sure that this does not become a financial bottleneck or an investment bottleneck for you when you are making this huge decision to return back. After returning, you have the RNOR period, you follow some compliances. When that is over, you become a normal resident and you need to start accordingly complying as a resident of India. Now, this again changes drastically in case of US citizens who come back, because even after their RNOR period is over, they're still liable to pay taxes in US. And due to that, there are many investments that they will or they should not be doing, or they're not recommended to do. And there are many things that they will still be restricted to do. So based on what kind of passport you're holding, these things might change also. But what you can do is you can take screenshot of these things in the video while pausing, and then anything that is applicable to you, you can make a note of it. So I hope this video helped you. Just as a notification, we don't offer tax only services to our clients. This is a checklist that we follow for our clients who are coming back to India, retiring, and want somebody to manage their investments and help them during this transition. Many people come back to India to retire permanently, or maybe take a sabbatical and then join workforce, or maybe return back to India, work for 3-4 more years, and then permanently hang up their boots. So if you are somebody who is in this similar situation, feel free to reach out to us. This is PrimeWealth and Alok. I am signing off. See you in the next video.